Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something pretty amazing, the power of reading. It's way more than just like deciphering words.
Right.
It can literally shape our brains.
Yeah.
And it can help us understand like everything around us better and even make us more, empathetic people, right?
Exactly. And what's so cool is like these benefits start super early, even before kids, understand the words.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that. Like reading to babies being so important.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really got like why.
Well, think about it. A baby's brain, that's like growing so fast, it's making millions of connections every second.
Yeah.
And reading aloud, it like boosts this process, especially in those brain areas responsible for like visual imagery, right?
Yeah.
And language comprehension.
So it's like not just hearing the words.
Right.
It's about making those mental pictures and like actually figuring out the language.
Right. Exactly. Studies show that even just a few minutes a day, it stimulates the part of the brain that helps them understand meaning and language. And that early exposure, it sets them up for strong language skills later on.
That makes sense. So those early reading experiences really have a long-term impact, huh?
Yeah.
What about when kids start to read on their own?
Oh, well then one of the biggest benefits is vocabulary, right?
Oh, for sure.
You know how some kids just like know all these fancy words?
Yeah.
That often comes from reading. Books expose them to words they might not hear every day.
It's like they're learning a secret language or something.
Right. And it's not just the number of words. It's the nuances, how they create images,
Right.
evoke emotions, convey those like complex ideas.
Yeah. It makes me think of those classic children's books, the ones with such vivid descriptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not just telling a story, they're painting a picture with words.
Exactly. And all this exposure to like rich descriptive language helps them develop stronger communication, both written and spoken.
It's like giving them this awesome toolkit for expressing themselves. So this all like connects to doing well in school, right?
Absolutely.
I've always heard there's a strong link between reading and like how well kids do academically.
Because think about it, reading is the foundation for learning in almost every subject.
Mm-hmm.
Strong readers, they're better equipped to grasp those complex concepts,
Yeah.
follow instructions, express their ideas well.
Right. So those early literacy skills like phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, comprehension,
Mm-hmm.
they're not just about reading itself. They're crucial for learning in general.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by like nurturing a love of reading early on, we're setting kids up for success, not just in school, but, life in general.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot about like the brain power stuff, the cognitive benefits.
Right.
But I'm also curious about the like emotional side. What kind of impact does reading have on that?
Oh, it's huge. Reading aloud, it creates such a strong bond between, the reader and the listener. Think about those cozy moments. Cuddling up with a child, sharing a story.
Oh, God.
It's like a special connection that builds intimacy and well-being.
I remember those times from when I was a kid. It wasn't even just the story itself. It was that feeling of like closeness, security.
Exactly. And even for babies who may not understand the words, the sound of a familiar voice reading is soothing, reassuring. It's about creating those positive early interactions that are so vital for healthy emotional development.
It's really incredible how something as simple as reading aloud
Mm-hmm.
can have such a profound impact on a child's emotional well-being.
And it goes beyond just like feeling good,
Yeah.
Reading helps kids develop empathy.
Oh, how so?
Well, by stepping into the shoes of different characters, they get to experience all sorts of emotions,
Right.
understand different points of view.
So they're not just learning about different emotions, they're like experiencing them through the characters.
Precisely. And this ability to understand and share the feelings of others, it's crucial for healthy relationships and, navigating the social world.
This makes me wonder, does the type of book matter? Are some better than others for fostering this emotional intelligence?
That's a great question. All types of books offer insights, of course. But there's something special about those, what we call living books, the ones filled with rich language, compelling characters, and thought-provoking themes.
What makes a book a living book, exactly?
Well, they're often written by authors who are, passionate about their topic.
Okay.
They have a unique perspective, and they're not just presenting dry facts. They're weaving those facts into, a captivating narrative.
So it's about learning in a way that's both informative and enjoyable.
Exactly. And living books often explore those complex themes and universal truths in a way that really resonates, no matter your age or background.
It's like they offer a window into the human experience,
Exactly.
allowing us to connect on a deeper level.
You put it perfectly. And that connection, that shared understanding, it's at the heart of what makes reading so powerful and transformative. And, these living books, they can also help with another important skill, concentration.
Oh, interesting. Wouldn't have necessarily thought of that. How does reading build concentration?
Well, just think about what happens when you get, really into a good book.
Yeah.
So engrossed, right? The outside world just fades away.
You're just in the story.
Yeah.
Blocking everything else out.
Exactly. And that ability to focus for a long time, that's valuable, right? Not just for school, but for anything that needs your full attention.
Yeah, that makes sense. So those kids who can sit still for a whole story time, they're actually building skills that'll help them later on.
Precisely. And reading's not just passively taking in information.
Right.
It's active. It requires you to engage with the text, think critically, make connections.
It's like a workout for your brain.
That's a great way to put it. And the best part is it's a fun workout.
Right, exactly.
When we make reading enjoyable, we're setting kids up for a lifetime of learning.
Yeah, because they associate books with pleasure, not like a chore or something.
And that internal motivation, that's key for developing a lifelong love of reading, which fuels curiosity, a thirst for knowledge.
You mentioned reading aloud to younger children a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Is there still value in that for older kids, even when they can read on their own?
Absolutely. It's a great way to bond, to share a love of stories. And you can introduce them to books that might be a bit challenging for them to read solo,
So it's about expanding their horizons, exposing them to new vocabulary, themes, different writing styles.
Exactly. And it gives you this chance to discuss those themes, spark conversations, encourage critical thinking.
It's like a built-in book club right there at home.
I love that. It highlights how reading isn't just a solitary activity. It can be shared.
Speaking of sharing, let's talk about novels. I've always loved fiction, and I've heard that reading novels specifically has some unique benefits. What about that?
You're right. They're a powerful way to develop empathy and emotional intelligence.
Wow.
By putting yourself in the character's shoes, right? We can experience all these emotions, understand different perspectives. It helps us see how complex relationships can be.
It's like living 1,000 different lives.
Exactly. And research suggests that this immersing ourselves in fictional worlds, it can actually have real-world benefits, like better social skills, more self-awareness, being more compassionate.
That's amazing. It makes you wonder if people who read a lot of fiction are, wired differently.
Well, there's definitely evidence that it can change how our brains work. Studies have shown it can enhance brain connectivity, particularly in areas linked to language, social cognition, empathy.
So those who love novels might be rewiring their brains for the better.
It's a fascinating idea. It shows the power of stories shaping not just our minds, but our hearts.
We live in a digital age now. Ebooks and audiobooks are super popular. Are there any, downsides to those formats?
Oh, well, while ebooks and audiobooks are convenient, there's something special about a physical book.
I get that. There's just something about holding it, turning the pages.
Right. It's a sensory experience that digital can't quite replicate.
Yeah.
And there's evidence this tactile engagement can actually help with comprehension and remembering things.
So people who prefer physical books might be absorbing information better.
It's definitely possible. And for little kids especially, physical books are great for developing fine motor skills, hand-eye coordination.
Think about those board books babies love.
Yeah.
They're learning so much just by, exploring them with their hands.
Exactly. And when kids see an adult engrossed in a physical book,
Yeah.
it sends a powerful message about the importance of reading, how enjoyable it can be.
It's like a silent endorsement, right? This is something worthwhile.
Precisely. And speaking of worthwhile, I think it's important to talk about owning physical books, especially now.
Yes. I'm a big believer in building a personal library.
And for good reason. It gives you a sense of ownership, You can highlight passages, make notes. You can revisit those books years later.
They become like old friends, almost.
Beautifully said. And owning books, especially ones that are meaningful to you, it's a way of preserving those stories, those viewpoints.
That's a good point. We live in a time when some books are being challenged, even banned. It's pretty concerning.
It is a worrisome trend. Books give us glimpses into different cultures, time periods, ways of thinking. They challenge us, make us think, help us see the world from different angles.
Yeah.
Limiting access to certain books, it restricts our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
I totally agree. It's crucial to engage with diverse voices, perspectives, even those that challenge us. It's how we grow, how we learn, how we become more empathetic.
Exactly. Censorship in any form, it hurts intellectual freedom, it holds back knowledge.
So we need to be active in preserving those voices, those stories, those perspectives.
Absolutely. And owning physical books, building those libraries, it can be a small but meaningful act of resistance.
This has been so insightful. I'm feeling inspired to make some changes.
That's great to hear. It really emphasizes how much power books have. The power to learn, grow, connect, to make a difference.
So what does this all mean for our listener? How can they use this knowledge?
Great question. I think the key takeaway is that reading is an investment in ourselves, our well-being, our future.
It's not just about passing time. It's about actively engaging with the world, expanding our understanding, becoming more well-rounded.
Exactly. So I encourage our listeners to make time for reading, to explore different genres, to talk about the books they're reading, and to share that love of reading with others.
And remember, it's never too late to rediscover the joy of reading.
Absolutely.
Whether you're a lifelong bookworm or just starting out.
It can open up like whole new worlds, introduce us to amazing people and ideas, and even help us figure out our own lives.
It really is like having a portal to endless possibilities right there in your bookshelf.
Exactly. So I want to leave our listener with this thought, okay?
Okay.
Think about your own relationship with reading. What role does it play for you? What are some of your favorite books, and why do they resonate with you?
Those are great questions to think about. And here's another one for our listener. What can you do right now to unlock the power of reading, either in your own life or in the lives of people around you?
Maybe it's setting aside time each day, or joining a book club, or even just sharing your love of reading with a kid.
Right.
However you choose to engage with books. Just remember, reading is a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
It enriches our lives in so many ways.
Absolutely.
So go out there and read, explore, discover, and let the power of books, transform your world.
That's it for another deep dive. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, happy reading, everyone.